Hello and welcome to Intermediate Levelhead Design. In this video, we're going to talk to you about switches. There are a lot of switches. Don't worry, don't get overwhelmed. I'll talk you through each and every one of them. The only one we're not going to do is this one over here. This is a relay. This is going to be a separate video, so don't worry about it. If you haven't seen the basic logic video, I would go watch that first, just so you can kind of get your head around inactive versus active, sending versus receiving. But I will touch on them again in this video anyways, just a little bit. We're just going to start at the left. We're going to work our way over. This is a pressure switch, and there are several different types. I'm just going to set up a little pickup here so that we can understand how this works. Okay, so the only thing you need to think about here is that these are sending, this is receiving. This is looking for an active state. This currently is inactive. So by manipulating these switches and all the rest that I'm going to show you, we're going to go from inactive to active, and that all these switches will make this or some other thing appear, just so you know. Okay, so let me just zoom out so we have a bit more. This isn't cluttering up your screen. So you do want to set up the sending channel. So I've put this to receive on 0 and this to send on 0, so they are talking on the same line. The start state is inactive, so this is off until you interact with it. Now the behavior for these guys you can change. So you either change to hold, which is it has to be held down in order to work. The next state is lock. That means you hit it once and it's going to stay on. Okay? That's all you have to worry about there. Then we have a toggle. Exactly what it sounds like. You hit it once, it'll stay on. Hit it again, and it goes off. The last one's explode. This is just an action. And let's see what it does. So, explode. Not only does it send, it also disappears and explodes you in a direction. Okay, and it doesn't come back. So it's a one-way ticket, that particular one. We covered this a bit in the last video, but we're just going to put it back here anyways. These are toggles. Okay. It is indicating that it is off. Now it's on. Off. On. Off. On. These are the most basic switches in the game. I didn't cover it in the last video, but if you put it on the ground, it looks like this. If you put it there, it looks like that. Okay? Looks like a little light switch. Okay? Just so you have some options there. Locks are one way. They only go one direction. It's either locked, or sorry, if it's either unlocked or it's locked. You can't modify it any other way than that. So those are one way. You cannot switch them back. And their options would indicate that as well. It only sends, it doesn't receive. And you can switch what kind of state it's in, whether it's active or inactive, and what message it's going to send. So the diamond is looking for on, and this is on, but we can also switch it off by doing that. But just remember with the lock switches, they are locked in that position forever. Clock switches work on a toggle, but they just rotate toggles. So here, just watch. on, off, on, off, on, off. But you can modify which seconds, or sorry, how many seconds it remains in a particular state. So we can put the off on for much longer if we want. Okay, let's see how long that's taking. And then it'll speed up. Speed. And it slows down. Speeds up. There's a lot of different options there for modifying what you want to do with the world. We're gonna take this guy out. Actually, no. We're just gonna change. We're just gonna change him to be there. Okay. So now we're gonna get into switches which require you to interact with the world at large. This is a gem switch, which means that it's still sending, but it's looking for gems. Okay. Gems required. So you can set. So. Let's see, I'll see if I can get... We'll just put this here. Okay, so let's send this. So it's going to send on 0. Okay, so this will change to reflect how many gems you've set it to. So the player needs to collect that amount of gems in order for this switch to send. So it's only looking for 1. So let's get 1. That's it. Let's do that again. So you have a couple different options with this one as well. You can look for gems, like all the gems in the level. You're going to see this with the next few switches as well, is you're going to see how many gems it's looking for. You can set this up to 1,000, but if you do that, it doesn't actually say anything. If the number is too big, if it goes beyond, I think, 2 digits, so up to 99, it won't actually display anything. It'll just say that, as in to indicate that you need more gems in order to activate it. That is a gem switch. We're going to cover invisible here in just a second. A battle switch. So this is similar to gems, but it's looking for enemies. And you need to defeat enemies in order to for it to send. So we'll just put one. We need just a back rat. There we go. All right, put one here. It's looking for all the enemies in the level, of which is only 1. We're only concentrating on this area here. It should send once you defeat this. It'll send to the door. Let's do that again. And let's just have one more, just to see it reflect. See, this is 2. And that's how a battle switch works. So now I'll cover what invisible means. Invisible means if this particular switch is visible to the player. Generally, if it's visible, it is also, you can also interact with it. So you can jump on it. It takes up space in the game. But if you set it to invisible, it's not there, and you can't interact with it in any way. But it is still there, it is still watching. This is really useful for when you don't want to let the player know what your true intentions are, or you want them to figure it out on their own. You will see a lot of switches being invisible in the levels. And that's when you see the level change in ways that you didn't expect, that's because there's plenty of invisible switches. Anyways, that's how a battle switch works. charge switch. So, charge switches are something that require a pickup. Where are they? Where are they again? The switches. We need a battery. We're looking for a battery here. Oh, they carry. All right, they carry. Okay, so that is what a battery looks like, and that's what it's looking for. So, okay, that's all the switch is looking for. It wants you to find a battery, throw it towards it, and it has a bit of an area around it which it recognizes, like that. Okay. So we'll just catch them. You can throw it in the general vicinity of it, and it should catch it on its own. And you can set how many it wants to look for as well. So you can require a bunch. A word about batteries. Batteries you cannot lose. If they fall off the level, they get respawned. Okay? They'll just come back. So you can think about that when you want to create large levels that have a significant dropping danger or plummet to your death sort of things. You want the player to quickly grab these and throw them in a particular direction. However, when you're designing a level, if these end up somewhere that the level is, but is otherwise unreachable by the player, you could potentially soft lock them, in which they can't progress. So it's something to think about for this particular one. We'll mention that again at the key switches. That is how battery switches work. Okay. Eye switches can be a bit more confusing than these ones because they have an additional thing where they have a detection range. Okay, so when you click on it when you single click on it, it'll bring up this box, and this is where it's looking for something. Now in this case, this is the eye switch. It's looking for the player. It is looking for GR18. So if we just to demonstrate, let's do a bit more. Okay. So you can see underneath here, it is not detecting the player, but it is in a 3x3. Well, no, it's more than that. It says its range is 3, so it's 3 out from the center. So as you can see, it's looking at me, but it's not done anything. Okay, but if we hop into its range, it switches. Okay, now its default state indicates that it's only going to activate if you're in its range. However, with these, you can also make it lock. So if you put locking to yes, that means it will just lock like that. And you don't have to worry about going into its range again. If you want to change its shape, or rather, if you want to expand beyond an actual square, you put it by rectangle. Let's do that a bit. And you can move the sliders, or you can punch in a number. So you can do up to 20. So that's 20 from the center. So you can expand this to be a 20 range in everything. That is how eye switches work. And now we'll move on. A baddie eye switch is looking for enemies. This is going to be slightly different because if enemies are present, it's active. If enemies are not present, it is inactive. So let's move this down so that covers the ground a bit. Let's put an enemy in here. Okay. So if it sees at least one enemy, it is active. If it doesn't see an enemy, it becomes inactive. Okay? See how it's wandering out of its range? It suddenly becomes inactive, and therefore the door does not respond in this case. That is how a baddie eye switch works. We're nearly there. We're nearly at the end here. Okay, so the package, cam, is looking for the package. Okay, so this is detection range. Okay, it's looking for the package. It's not looking for anything else. So, if you're carrying it with you, if the package is there, it will see it, and it will change accordingly. If it's not there, if it can't see it, it's not going to do anything. But it's looking for the package. But if you throw it into its range, okay, then it will activate. Or deactivate, depending on what you've set it to. But either way, the state will flip if it sees what it wants, which is the package in this case. Temp switch is a combination of these pressure switches and a timer. So this is good when you want the player to act quickly or indicate that there is a timer happening. You can also use things that have a weight to trigger them. And that's also true for the pressure switches. Enemies also have weight on them. I think they can do this one. If not, it's a learning experience for us both. Oops. Yeah. So enemies also have a weight. It's something you might want to consider. They can't interact with all the switches, but they can interact with pressure. So they can interact with pressure switch, or they can interact with the temp switch. They cannot interact with flippies or locks. This is something to keep in mind. That is a temp switch. The weight switch is self-explanatory. You set a time. Just like that. You can also set these to countdown. I believe you can. Set it to inactive. Oh, okay. I didn't quite have an understanding of that. That's okay. I'm learning this too at times. Okay. Anyways, that is a weight switch. You simply set a timer on it, and it'll flip. Alright, we got two more to do. Input switches are looking for an input from you, the player. So, in this case, its default is run right, or you can run left, up, down, jump, grab, kick, use power up. So all the things that GR18 can do, it is looking for. Right, we'll just set it to run right. So if I just go left like this, it's not going to do anything. But it's looking for me going right. These are quite useful for making levels so, you know, maybe keep the player from doing a particular thing and set up traps that way so if they go a certain direction, something else might happen that might hurt them. I often see that used. The last one is a key switch. Now, let's see. So you need a key for the key switch. This one? Yeah. You need a key. And it needs a matching key. You can do different colors. Okay? But if the key doesn't match, it's not going to work. Oops. Okay. That is how switches work. Thanks for watching.